Hello, everyone. This is Kanika, CEO and founder of Mindcog. Mindcog is a strategy consulting and market intelligence firm. And today we are back with another episode of the podcast, the Insights Lounge, where we talk to change makers, industry leaders, founders, and policymakers to share their ideas and insights about the industry. Today we have with us a special guest. Her name is Denise Sakuma. Denise is a consultant and global marketing and branding leader. She has held various leadership roles, most recently as the vice president at the LYCRA Company, where she directed global communications, marketing strategy, and merchandising to meet diverse audience needs while positively impacting the environment. Denise brings a unique international experience, blending creativity, strategic insight, and operational excellence. She has been accountable for commercial P&L, regional business strategy, and talent development. Welcome to the podcast, Denise. Thank you so much for making your time today.
Thank you, Kanika. I'm really happy to be invited and to be here with you and all your audience at Mindcog. Thank you for the invitation and thanks for watching us.
You're most welcome, and I cannot wait to start this podcast. Given your experience, we are going to talk about next in consumer trends in apparel. Denise, in your long and diverse experience, what consumer behavior insights have surprised you the most? And how have they influenced brand communication and customer engagement?
I have many insights. But one that is a constant is the realization that, of course, consumers are buying a function, are buying a product at a price with quality, etc. But in the end of the day, consumers are buying an emotion, right? It's not about what a product does, but actually what the product makes he or she feel, right? So across the years I have worked with fibers, even a fiber which is a raw material that's like on the starting point of the chain, right? We were not marketing stretch, right? We were marketing freedom. We were not marketing moisture management. We were marketing, confidence, right? So I think that's insight because it's a constant, right? Just to sell what the product does today is not enough. On top of it, you need to tell the story behind it. You need to tell with transparency. And I think this takes me to the second point of more recent insight, which comes with the younger generation, Generation Z, Generation Alpha that's coming along, which is that the what and the why is going to be surpassed by the what, the why, and why. Why is that? Because this new generation is already raised into this environment, and what they want is that a brand have has a stand. It's like it's transparency, it's the purpose, the what to why. So I think that's the second, I think, insight is like coming younger generations. We cannot, the textile companies cannot work the way that we have been operating, right? From here to here, from here to here. We need to work from here to here and here to here. So these are my insights.
That's true. Like you rightly said, it's about selling an emotion. And I think that's an insight that has always been a constant, no matter what you're selling.
Absolutely.
So, Denise, as consumer voices play a central role in today's D2C brands, how can apparel and fashion companies effectively integrate authentic consumer perspectives into their brand storytelling?
Okay, so if you are talking about, a fiber company, a polymer company, so again, I use the extreme. So they are in the starting point, right? And the consumers here. So there's a long journey here. So the more, the companies in the value chain bring the consumers close, the best it is. So for me, yes, data, for instance, is very important to understand, to have consumers insights, to have consumer focus groups, and to listen. First thing, to listen. But I think the way to fast track all this is to couple like consumer insights, consumer research, and co-create with the users, co-create with them. So use market data, yes, to before and then during co-creation and then after to validate. And let the consumer be the protagonist. Let the consumer be the hero, right? And they will the best endorsers of your product. And in all of this, why I think ingredient branding is the way to go. I think it's because it's a fast track to sell your performance story. Consumer needs the real thing. Consumer needs to, and that branding gives like the transparency. Is a fast track. It's a fast track to best communicate it to consumers.
So my next question, Denise, is around Gen Z. And Gen Z is one generation which is so perceptive and so woke, so to speak. So for brands which are popular amongst Gen Z, how do sustainability focused strategies such as product tags, logos, use of recycled materials like polyester, how are they shaping consumer perception?
Okay, to the point of tags, point of sale, etc. These are very important because it's a way to tell the story. For me, it's the starting point. Okay,
Mm.
starting point because, as I said before, Generation Z has been grown into the context that we are living today. And yes, labels are expected, but what they want to know is what really behind the text, which I mean
Yes.
that is like the whole transparency thing, which I mean is that, it's not enough to have like the sewing label explaining what is the material content that is on the garment, right? It's not only enough to have the point of sale, the hang tags explaining, okay, this will give you confidence or this is moisture management, etc. But okay, where to the point that I said the why and why is like I want to see the data. I want to see the proof. I want to see, how it's done, where it's done. And so it comes down with this whole industry of traceability and tracking,
Mm.
okay, where this garment was made and who made them and so on. So I think there are companies that are doing this very well, like no need to name it, but let's do it. Like Patagonia has like sustainability built into their business models, and people like Pandaya, for instance, being very vocal and very radical with this flag. But I think when we see like a mainstream is like street retailer like H&M doing the efforts like the conscious campaigns and so on, it's important because that signalizes a step forward. And what I think is more important for H&M and others is the consistency. It's like, okay, maybe 50% is my milestone today, but I'm doing efforts to get to the 55%, to get to the 60%, etc. So it's not like a kind of isolated point in the curve, but it's a systemic movement. So for me, it's really like, like starting point through logo and so on, start point through campaigns, but like let's walk the talk and let's show the progress.
Yes, yes. No, you're absolutely right that the logos or like, a tag can be a starting point. It gives you some information, but I think increasingly consumers, especially this newer generation, they're really keen on like what's actually the story behind it. And I see some brands are very successfully leveraging these stories to really tap into their sentiment, tap into that emotion and letting them buy their products.
Let me tell you a little story, which is, I think, is a good one. I met Regenesis, which is like a startup company. Co-founders actually comes from the denim industry, and what they developed is a tracing, tracking, inventory management technology that actually is like thinking about the farmers on the origin, like the farmers that may work for a cooperative and how to give them tools like on the palm of your hand, like through a mobile, to control the quality of the cotton parcels and the tracing and the trackability from the seeds plantation, inventory management, shipment, and where all this seed from seed to the denim is like ending up, including like misuse, including like going to black markets and so on. And I think like initiatives like this one is to be applauded. It's like to be funded. It's because you are helping farmers which are less resource have less resources, right? to actually uh, um, to actually leverage the value of their work, right, through the value chain, right, and giving like opportunities for less complexity, less waste, being more sustainable, like across the whole points of the value chain from seed to the end garment. So I just wanted to share this because I think this type of initiatives is to be applauded.
No, I absolutely agree with that. And I think that makes a great story and a great example for others to look at and follow suit. Okay, so switching gears here a little bit. Denise said also a lot of AI-driven virtual try-on technology tools. So Glance AI is one such tool, which sort of creates your digital twin and allows you to shop for different styles without even having to make the effort of like going to a store and like putting it on. And it just shows you what you could potentially look good on you. And then if you like the look, it'll show you like related or similar products and then it'll take you to that link. I think that's very interesting. How do you see a trend like this is affecting the way shoppers, are going to shop in the future?
I think it's not in the future. I think it's now. It's amazing. It's like, some years ago, when this whole Internet of Things and, the mobile, etc., surge, you could
Mm.
do like my hair should be long, should be black, should be this like this.
Yeah.
But then from there to the technology that you are
Mm.
mentioned, like Lens AI, where you put a garment. So you start with the need. Is the garment for a party? Is the garment for professional work, etc. But then combine that with, well, I'm going to wear this on a coffee in Paris, or I'm going to, make a professional presentation. So it's like amazing. And I think this is like today, it's not in the future, because, there are countries that are more advanced and actually is part of their shopping behavior, this whole entertainment, and they are used to that. Like I'm talking about China, for instance, right? It's a way for, it's not a way only for you to understand how the garment colors, textures will fit you, right? But is again coming back to the emotional need, right? That you're not only buying a garment because there is a need of a event or a professional need, or to, protect yourself, the performance, but you are buying. At the end of the day, these tools are giving you the emotion. I'm doing this because I'm going to ski at this place. I'm doing this because I'm going to the street show there, or So I think this is amazing. I mean, I totally agree with you. It's great. It's great.
Have you personally started using any such tools for your own shopping?
No, be honest, but I have tried, which helps. Actually, I would say
Mm.
that yes, because yes, you try on, and in the end of the day, you go physically and go and see for yourself, and to touch and so on. So it was part of the decision making, right? It
Mm.
helps you making. So I would say yes in the sense. Then finally I touch the button to have, like, my Apple Pay to ship me the garment. No, not yet, but I'm going to be there.
Right. Denise, you have had a very diverse experience across geographies, and you've been into branding and marketing communications. So, considering regional and cultural differences, what key insights you think brands should apply while positioning apparel products or fashion products across diverse markets? Do you think similar things can be applied in different geographies?
Absolutely. I think, companies are playing globally, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you will understand very well because India is like one of the giants in textiles today, right? I think that yes, international business should think globally, but never forget that the real sales is local. So you really, to be successful as a brand, or as a product or as a business, you need to listen, as I
Mm-hmm.
said before, listen locally, because the same fabric or the same fiber, yes, it is traded globally, but it will be implemented differently locally. What I mean is that same fabric can mean different things depending on where you are in the world, because culture is different. So I'm Brazilian. I don't look like, but I'm Brazilian. Japanese blood, so Japanese third generation, right? So if I want to sell a fiber in South America, I will sell under the context of colors, texture, happiness, right? Confidence. If I am in Europe, I will show for its durability, for its like performance, right? So depending on where you are in the world, you will need to localize that product into the local stories, into what resonates to that local consumer. Otherwise, it's not going to fly. It's not going to fly.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely agree that there could be some similarities because thanks to the internet and social media, but fundamentally, when you're selling something locally, it has to take into account the local nuances of that place.
Yeah, I mean, if you would take like, the series, and I watch a lot of Indian series and Korean series and so on, you know,
Mm,
you you there are some universal truths that will
mm.
make wherever you are watching, that movie, American movie, Indian movie, Korean movie, to cry or to laugh like crazy because it resonates on you. So for me, a global campaign makes sense if it resonates, if it is hitting a universal truth. Other than that, it has to be twisted, even translated. Translation has to be into the, it's not a translation, it's like adaptation into the local culture that you are marketing that product. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, switching gears here again, can you share some instances of a fashion or apparel campaign that has used approaches such as influencer-led streams or interactive digital experiences to engage with consumers effectively?
Yeah, well, I will talk about like what it was for me a breakthrough, but that comes from 2021. So it's like when we talked about all these new technologies like streaming, or AI, etc. It looks old because we're talking about 2021, but I think if we think about it, that was genius when like Gucci launched this arcade, right? The gaming brand where their consumer was really like set into this Pac-Man type of game, right? Or mimicking of Pac-Man or mimicking of Pokemon, Roblox, and so on. But the thing there, it was like, don't take me wrong, everything was about branding. Everything was about the textures, about the colors, about the vision. And, that for me was like, because it was one of the first, resonated, right? The other one that's a little bit different is like more Adidas Creator Club. And that was done really like to bring like community, to bring it like community together, to bring like originals, authenticity. But in the end of the day, what they want is to create a following, to create loyalty, not through e-commerce, not through price discount. Okay, that could be in the
Mm.
end of the day, but the main purpose there was community building. And I think like more recent, I think is the initiative of the Met Museum in New York, which launched during the Met Gala, this whole Sleeping Beauties exhibition, which is basically like their archives of clothes, right? Which they could not, some of them could not even be, hanged because conservation and so on. And I think it is beautiful, and it's called like Sleeping Beauty, awakening fashion, or he awakening, or he awake fashion, because they were so fragile garments, right? And what they did through AI, look how interesting it is. They brought like the smell of the garment, the hearing, and you could speak with the original owners of these garments through AI, of course, through VR, AR, like, AR, VR. And it's like, you are, this is sleeping beauties, because this is sleeping fashion being resurrected through AR, VR, and you will be able to smell, to speak with the person that
Wow.
was the owner. I mean, for me, and to show the fragility of a fashion, but not because of the strength, because the story continues. There is storytelling behind every garment. For me, this is beautiful. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Totally agree. And these days, it's also very common that people are using content to actually, like you rightly pointed out, community to create their own communities, to create like sort of like a fan following. And once they have a sufficient amount of fan following, or like enough amount, I would say, of fan following, they are then creating products and are selling it to their community. And people are buying that product not because it's necessarily a very unique product, because they just like the person who's creating them. And that's become like a new way of sort of marketing and selling fashion and apparel today.
Absolutely. I mean, if you have so many competing things, well, you're going to go for the ones that you trust most, right? That you're loyal to, that, somebody has spoken of, which is like bringing really like what, the reason behind the why, the why is because I belong to a community, because there is a flag that I'm standing for, and all these things that
Yeah.
Generation Z is bringing.
Okay. So, since we've been talking about this, do you have any unique examples that you would like to share where you think something to do with some merchandising or some product innovation sort of was created some unique impact, and they took into account some very evolving consumer interests in some way?
I would like I like examples of the before and after, right? So for me, one of really breakthrough or step change innovation was really the introduction of lycra in denim, and all the denim historian will agree that denim was Levi's invented, and then denim was what it was until lycra was possible into, and that redefined the category, but also it allowed for many different styles, value creation, designs, etc. So I think that this is one example. Another example that's more recent, of course, is like Lululemon. That really, I would say it was not the first, but basically was the one when it started, where it met like fabric innovation with a lifestyle, like the yoga, and created a community and created a purpose, and fabric innovation, with that lifestyle really just made like Lululemon a total explosion, like globally. And yeah, I think that's before and after. And then, of course, I mentioned before, like big fan of Patagonia for integrating sustainability into their business model. But in the end of the day, for me, the core message here is that innovation always starts with wearing the shoes of the other with empathy. Okay, put yourself in the shoes of other, and like coming with innovation from the consumers, coming from the needs, not coming with the what, but coming with the why.
Yeah, I agree. Denise, what we've talked so much about, changing consumer trends and how important they are today. If you want to sell to this, if you want to sell basically, whether it's your established big legacy company or whether a D2C brand, it's extremely important to take into account evolving consumer behavior. I have a related question to this. What kind of organizational capabilities do apparel brands need to effectively integrate so that they can actually keep up with the changing consumer trends? And then they can leverage these trends into product development, merchandising, and communication.
Okay, coming back again with what the why, the what, and the why, right? I think that a leader in the future is one that has all the criteria of running a business well, which
Mm.
is not going to be enough in the future. Plus, build a culture of curiosity and collaboration. I think the new talents that are going to really be the leaders of this future are ones that are curious and knows how to collaborate. We're not talking about teamwork. We are talking about collaboration. When I say collaboration, it's like cross-functional. Okay,
Mm.
for a business to be able to succeed, it has to come with the right culture, the right mentality, and marketing, R&D, design, sales have all to work together. And for me, that's like the the shift.
From a global marketing perspective, what advice would you give to apparel brands who are trying to connect long-term product innovation with consumer relevance?
As I said again, consistency. I think successful brand should be consistent with their values across. It's not like well, fashion fade or like going to, okay, I'm doing sustainability claims today because sustainability is good today. But no, if you're doing sustainability, it has to be core and continue to be core. Oh, if technology is important for you, but it's really like you have to be consistent and true to your brand values. For me, um, innovation today, it needs to come with consistency. And I'm talking about new generation, purpose, right? So if we start from really what does the consumer need? What is the consumer truth, right? On top of the features, on top of the compliance, on top of the performance, etc., right? Then align with the values of growth, progress, responsibility, meeting a human need, emotions, right? And talk consistent but coherently across every touch point. The thing is that there are so many touch points these days, even for companies that have a lot of resources. Even if you think that you have a lot of resources, you don't, because it's impossible to meet all the touch points. So it's better to decide which are the touch points you are going to be and do it well. Do not try to be doing all the touch points because it's a lot of complexity and it's a lot of resource intensive. So tell your story coherently, consistent, your values, walk the talk, and choose your battles. Choose the touch points that you want to show yourself well.
That's great advice, actually. And it truly seems to be coming from somebody who's been a global marketing communications leader at a brand such as Lycra.
Yeah,
And as we
actually,
coming,
no, sorry,
yeah.
just to say, sorry to interrupt, but just to say that it's not because what I want to say is that business sometimes perform not well or not as expected versus the plan because of things like macroeconomics, because of politics, because of wars, because of many things. So, we are all in this world, so there will be times where your business is going to be above the plan or meeting the plan or below the plan. But when you are below the plan, what you cannot do is to not be consistent, because when you are not being consistent and you are risking your own business. Decades that have been working, the companies that were able to be consistent with their values, right? And okay, let's hold hands and be strong, but let's move. Have the brand, we have the technology, we have the people. These are the companies that are still living today. These are the companies that are because all this structure, this foundation gave the strength for them to navigate the bad times. So please, this is really not only an advice. It's like me seeing business disappear because they were not being true to themselves, trying to meet requirements and not following their own values or said values.
That's very true, and I absolutely concur with that. You have to be true with your set values, so to speak. And that is what's going to make you a long-term, sustainable, profitable business and a brand.
Absolutely.
So, as we come towards the end of the podcast, Denise, obviously, I'm going to ask you a forward-looking question. How do you see the balance between functional and lifestyle innovations shaping the apparel sector by 2030 or 2035?
Okay. First of all, there will always be a functional need. Okay. So as long as you have the function, but you will also meet an emotional need. Okay, that's good. But I think the future is really like performance becomes emotional. I think the company that will understand, right, that there's no division, there will be no division, that the way that humanity is evolving, there will be really the need of merging these two things together. So all I want to say is that the future is on materials that understand people, that understand their needs, that understand the importance of taking care of consumers' body, taking care of consumers' mind, and taking care of the planet where they live. Okay, so yes, there's a lot of new technologies coming, new startups, new materials coming to meet the sustainability as for a better planet, right? And they are, by doing that, they are already meeting emotional needs, right?
Yes.
What we need now
Mhm.
is really like going deep. So yeah, what we have, the product, the why, because there is a emotional need, but the why, which is like, okay, show me that this data is, you know this fiber comes from, who made this fiber, how it was made. So for me, the future, the ones that are going to lead the textile industry, because again, a clothes is not a clothes without a fiber, without a material, without a finish. So the winners of tomorrow are the materials that understand people, like their body needs, mind needs, and where they are living. So for me, that's the answer to your question.
Yes, that's a good one, and truly appreciate the insight. Well, this has been a very informative and insightful podcast. Thank you so much for your time, Denise. And to all our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to leave Denise's LinkedIn profile link in the description box below. And if you're keen to get in touch with her, I'm sure if she finds the time, she will make time for you. And please do leave comments and queries and any interest areas that you would like us to incorporate in our future podcasts. Thank you so much for tuning in.